welcome to the vlog. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can get notifications when I put out new videos. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like a lot of people don't like to talk about, and that's kind of taboo. And I don't think it should be. And that is mental health. I think that it is so important and so real. Like when you think about physical health, if we are sick, we don't have a problem telling people or going to the doctor to get help. But people feel like if our minds are sick, that we need to keep it a secret and that it's just an attitude adjustment. And that's not the case for everybody. Sometimes it's more than just an attitude adjustment. And I think too, when people are going through an extra hard time, or somebody with a disability who's feeling isolated and alone, or you're just going through a trial, and especially in the winter months, depression is so much more prevalent. There's seasonal depression, there's situational depression, there's chronic depression, there's other mental illnesses, and I just think it's very important to not be afraid to talk about it. And so I'm just gonna be real and put it out there that I have struggled with anxiety and depression on and off throughout my life, and sometimes I've been on meds and sometimes I haven't. Sometimes it's just you do need to fix your attitude, but other times it's you can't do it on your own and you need a little bit of help. And there's no shame in that. For me, when I was little, I didn't think that I was different because of my disability, because my parents treated me as normal. But as I got older, and it did set in that I was different, I do think that affected my mental health a little bit. I think it does affect my depression, sometimes my self-esteem, sometimes my anxiety. When I go to a new place or talk to new people or am around kids that have never been around me, that causes me anxiety. I know that kids are going to ask questions or point or stare, and that's okay, but it still causes me anxiety. When I found out I was pregnant, I was really excited, but I also became really overwhelmed. Like I've said in previous videos, I felt so alone. All the research that I had done, there was nobody out there that I could find that had cerebral palsy and was pregnant. And I did a lot of research, and I told my parents, I'm like, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. And the first few months of being pregnant, it really took its toll on me. And I could tell that my anxiety and depression had gone up a little bit. But then after the shock wore off and I had met with the doctor a few times and we had gone over my worries, that was okay. But then as the pregnancy went on, I was so concerned about making sure that Janie was safe. And there were a couple times that I fell down, and there was a lot of guilt. Did I harm my baby? I should have been using a walker from the very beginning. I shouldn't be doing this. The reason why there's no information out there about people with cerebral palsy who are pregnant is because it shouldn't happen. There was a lot of self-blame, negative self-talk going on. And I just felt so alone. And then when you have the baby, you add on postpartum depression, and that is something that needs to be talked about so much more. It is real, and it doesn't just happen right after you have a baby. It could happen 2 years later when your child's 2 years old and you're like, why am I feeling this way? It can happen at any time, and it can be mild or it can be severe. And your only goal when you're becoming a mom is to make sure your child's safe. And in order for your child to be safe, you have to be mentally safe and stable. So talk to your doctor if you just had a baby and you're feeling low. Get your meds upped. Get on some meds. You know, I'm not one to say take meds for everything. It's going to solve everything, because it's not. But sometimes you just need that extra push. And then go talk to somebody. Go talk to a therapist. The best ways that meds work is also when you're doing therapy. And so after I had the baby, I was so overwhelmed. I was trying to nurse her. I wanted to be the normal mom. I couldn't position her in the right position to nurse. So I tried for 2 weeks, but she wasn't gaining weight. So then when I went to the doctor, I felt worse because I was starving my baby. So I had to make that decision, like, I know you want to be a normal mom and nurse your baby, but there's no such thing as like a normal mom. Like, you have to do what's best for your baby. And so for me, that was bottle feeding her. But I was still depressed about it, because I felt like it was my cerebral palsy that was causing me not to be the best mom I can be. So I had to really come to terms with, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be the best mom that you can be? Does that mean you're a perfect mom? No, nobody's perfect. Am I being the best mom if I don't nurse my baby? Yes, as long as your baby is safe. Am I a bad mom if my husband has to give my child a bath instead of me? No. When I was in the hospital, I had a C-section, and so I was in the hospital for a while, and I felt so discouraged in the hospital because I felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt like my husband was doing everything. I was like, what are we gonna do when I get home? And we don't have these nurses to help. And I know that that's not just a handicapped thing or a disabled thing. I'm sure all moms feel that way. But I felt like I had to learn how to walk all over again because of the C-section. And the things that the pregnancy have done to my body, it's definitely a lot harder for me to get around. So I was really overwhelmed, really discouraged, and I just told myself, you shouldn't have been a mom. You shouldn't have gotten pregnant. You're not gonna be a good mom for your child. And if you're telling yourself that, then you're gonna believe it. So I had to come to terms with, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay if you can't do everything. It's okay. There's no such thing as a perfect mom. It can be very easy, especially after you have a kid, to get depressed. And mine was getting pretty bad. There was a point where I was like, oh, when I looked at her, I knew I loved her, but I was like, it caused me so much anxiety because I knew all that I was doing at that point was feeding her. And so when I went for my 2-week appointment with her, the doctor did a survey and recommended that I up my meds. And I knew that that was gonna happen, and I had prepared myself for that. There is no shame. Guys, it's like I said in the beginning. You go to the doctor when you're sick physically. So why not go to the doctor when you're sick emotionally? For those of you who feel like there is no hope, there is hope. You're not gonna feel like this forever. But you have to make that first step and ask for help, whether that's medicine, whether that's counseling, whether that's both, whatever. Don't suffer. You don't need to suffer alone. You do not. And especially in these winter months, if you have felt depressed before, or you just had a baby, or you're going through a trial that's really hard, pay attention to your body. Everybody can get a little depressed in the winter months because you can't go outside, it gets dark. So pay attention to your body and don't just write it off as, oh, I just need to change my attitude. Yes, sometimes we do. Sometimes I just get depressed that I am handicapped and I just have to deal with it. But there's other times where it's more severe. And for those of you who might have a disability, who are discouraged or sad or whatever, don't give up. There is a reason that you were given this disability, or let's just even say a trial you guys are going through. There is a reason that you were given that, and there is something that you can get out of it positively. I'm not saying, do you have to have a positive attitude throughout the whole trial? No, believe me, I struggle with that too. But on those times where you're feeling depressed, if you can take the time to say, okay, why am I feeling this way and how can I turn it around? So for me, I use this disability to talk to people, to spread a message of hope. When I was first pregnant, I was really sad and depressed and overwhelmed that there was nobody out there that could really help me, no resources I could find. So that's when I decided, and I should have done it earlier throughout the pregnancy, but it's scary starting a YouTube channel. But that's when I decided to do this because I didn't want somebody else to feel alone or isolated. So I feel like I've talked about a lot of stuff, but the main thing is this. Don't be afraid to admit that you're feeling sad or depressed. Don't make this a taboo thing. Talk openly about it. If you can't talk to your family or friends, then go find a therapist that can help you. The place I work, Inner Peace Counseling, that's in Utah, and find somebody that can help you. The other thing is try to find a way to use that trial to help somebody else. That's why I did this YouTube channel. Because yes, my experience isn't the same as somebody else's, and there are a lot of people out there who do have a disability that are not as bad as me or that are worse off than me, that may not be able to have a family or have to do things different than me. But at least they know that there's somebody out there that has felt the same way they have felt, or now they can see that maybe they can do it because I decided to put myself out there and make something positive out of it. So I hope that you guys find this video helpful. I will have a link in the description below of where I work, and then there's also some online resources you can reach out. There's BetterHelp, there's Talkspace. Nowadays, if you don't want to go into somewhere or it's too hard for your schedule, try one of those online places. And if you've been skeptical about counseling, just give it a try. Just try it. If you're feeling sad and everything you're doing isn't working, then try it. And comment if you have questions, or if you've ever struggled with this, or if there's something that you have found helpful regarding mental health or talking to somebody. Let's start that conversation and not be afraid to talk about this issue. So hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you next time.